Hey, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and I'm bringing you guys a first impressions of Clan of Champions, a title that originally released overseas exactly 1 year ago in Japan as a PlayStation exclusive, which is also known as Gladiator Versus, and it's a part of a series which includes the Gladiator Begins and Coliseum Road to Freedom games, none of which I've played before, and all of this information was pulled directly off the wiki for the game. It's published by NIS, and it features a single player campaign, but it has a very heavy focus on player versus player online combat. And with all these huge releases this week, this one's kind of getting buried underneath them, so I definitely wanted to at least get a first impressions up for it right away. Now, you get to create a character, which you don't really have a lot of options in customizing them. It's pretty standard stuff, but the focus here is going to be on actually building a rolling death machine using skill sets, passive skills, magic, and everything in between. You have 3 styles of combat: sword and shield, dual wield, which is what I'm using, and finally hand-to-hand combat. You can break your opponent's equipment, knock their weapon out of their hand, and then pick it up and use it against them, and 3 of your face buttons on the controller target a specific area of their body, such as the legs, midsection, and head. So let's go ahead and get into the first impressions. While I haven't played a previous title in this series, the combat reminds me a lot of the Dark Souls, Demon Souls titles. The movement, the rolling, the swiping of the weapons, it all resembles what was seen in those 2 titles to some extent. But the biggest draw to this one is going to be playing online with or against your friends, and the massive amount of customization that you can do, which includes the ability to switch your character at any time. If you decide you don't like the one that you're using, you can roll into combat with something different. Now, the one thing I noticed is the computer AI in the single player for both your teammates and your opponents seems to be pretty good. I got into a few pretty good fights just in my first few matches. The tutorial explains everything really well, and it's really easy to pick up and play. Graphically, I don't think it's going to win any awards, but the music's pretty good when you're in battle. It's got a nice beat to it to keep the combat intense. The main music, however, is a little bit strange because you can hear a slight scratch when changing menus and options. Not really sure what's up with that, but I'll keep my eye on that and see how that pans out. The combat seems to be fleshed out pretty nicely. You can block, which drains a bit of your stamina or your magic bar, whatever you want to consider it as. You can roll to evade attacks. It does a good job of targeting and keeping you somewhat locked in on the opponent closest to your front side. Since I was doing the easy missions tonight, it's kind of hard to gauge the difficulty just yet. I imagine once I crank it up and head into the harder missions, things may get a little bit more hectic. As far as your weapons, you have plenty to choose from. You can upgrade them. There's something to do with gems on here, which I haven't figured out yet. So there's a lot of options with just what you can do outside of combat and building your character. Now, for those of you familiar with NIS titles, they're usually known for very deep, rewarding gameplay, such as the Disgaea series and even the Leg Assista title that I covered earlier this year. And it's that reason why I wanted to check this one out, because I love building characters that are unique, and that's something this game seems to do pretty well just right out the gate. As soon as I finished my first few battles, I was able to change out my skill sets and begin equipping a few new pieces of gear, and every weapon seems to handle differently, and each playstyle has different skill sets attached to them. I didn't get a chance to test out the online tonight, and I have 3 other titles that I'm currently working on that I'm going to try to finish up before I get this review out the door, but be expecting more coverage for this one early next week as I'm wrapping up for this year before I kick off an extended vacation. Anyways, I know this was a really quick first impressions, but I still have a lot of work to do tonight, so I'll see you guys late tomorrow night when I upload the first of several reviews this week. Anyways, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and thanks for stopping by.